Are you accountable? Have you checked if you are accountable? How would you define accountability? More specifically, how empathetic do you think you are? And is it biased empathy? Well, there seems to be this, if you will, tug-of-war between accountability and empathy. When you have one, sometimes you don't always have the other. And it's an interesting little concept. And that concept will be the focus of today's episode. Hello and welcome to the Glass Floor podcast. This is a podcast about gender equalism and looking at both sides. With the concept of the glass floor, it is that, we're focusing on these men that are below the glass floor that the women walk on who are trying to break the glass ceiling. This is a show that is sponsored by NCFM, National Coalition for Men, which was founded in 1977. It is a nonpartisan, diverse, inclusive group that is dedicated to fighting against discrimination against boys, men, and the families that love them. So with that, we are going to get into today's episode about our little quadrant of accountability and empathy. And with that, I introduce my co-host, Tim Golditch.
Hi, welcome. So here we're going to take a look, as always, we're going to take a look at the other half of gender reality. Down at the other end of the balance beam, we're going to take a look at empathy toward men and accountability toward women. And we're not going to shirk the other two quadrants. We're also going to take a look at empathy toward women and accountability toward men. We're going to cover all four. And let's begin by taking a look at a specific issue that we can analyze in this gender equalist way. And so it is this. A number of years ago, a feminist author by the name of Jessica Valente wrote, quote, "What's the worst possible thing you can call a woman? Don't hold back now. You're probably thinking of words like slut, whore, bitch, cunt. I told you not to hold back. Skank. Okay, now, what are the worst things you can call a guy? Fag, girl, bitch, pussy. I've even heard the term mangina. Notice anything? The worst thing you can call a girl is a girl. The worst thing you can call a guy is a girl. Being a woman is the ultimate insult. Now tell me that's not royally effed up. Okay. So this is one of like 500 million gender issues, right?
Mm-hmm.
In fact, it's one that never had occurred to you before. It was, there are so many, there's oceans of these things, right?
For context to that, he told me this behind camera, and I took a moment and I was like, huh, didn't notice that before.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. So I will claim, though, that that Valente's interpretation of this gender phenomenon is a feminist take, and it operates out of the assumption that men have the power and women are the victims. So we're going to take a more balanced view of this issue. We're going to look at it from all four quadrants. We're going to take a look at how it's valid, and we're going to take a look at how it's dubious. We're going to take a look at how it impacts men. What's the empathy toward men interpretation? What's the empathy toward women interpretation? What is the accountability for men interpretation? What's the accountability for women interpretation? And in this way, we, as a synthesis of all four of these, what we hope is that we arrive at a fair and balanced assessment of this issue. Mm-hmm. And as such, we model how this might be done with most any gender issue. So
to that
This
point.
is the chart.
Yep.
It's just a simple visual representation. These are the 4 quadrants we're talking about. Okay. And the first is empathy toward men. And that is a quadrant that goes against the grain.
Mm.
That is not what we're used to. We are used to directing our empathy toward women and our accountability toward men.
Yeah.
So empathy toward men is resisted. But how can we look at this issue in terms of male vulnerability and what's going on for this with men? Why are men so compelled to exercise all feminine out of themselves and each other?
Hmm.
Well, much of this comes down to what we might call homophobia. And why might men be homophobic? Well, throughout history, male homosexuality has been targeted viciously. It hasn't been easy for female homosexuals either, but as a matter of degree, weren't burned at the stake for it. Male homosexuality has been really, really viciously targeted in almost every culture all through history. There have been exceptions, but
Yeah.
it's been in within the last, I don't know, at least 500 years, even more. It's been in the form of a law against sodomy,
Yeah.
which you couldn't accuse women of sodomy, right?
No.
This is strictly a male on male accusation, as it were.
Yeah.
So why would a society be done? Well, I think the reason that society has been so particularly targeting male homosexuality is that it implies women and children that go unprotected and unprovided for.
Yeah. And without partners as well.
Yeah.
I mean, someone correct me if I'm wrong, but one of the stories, more well-known stories within the Bible, is the disappearance of Sodom and Gomorrah,
Hmm.
which occurred, is how Sodom got its name,
Uh-huh.
which basically is Abraham found out that God was planning on destroying Sodom. He asked God if he would save the town if there were still believers in there. Angels came to go investigate Sodom, and wow, this is a bad time for me to forget the guy's name, but there's a gentleman who lives like right on the border basically of Sodom, right outside of it in a house. He sees the angels, invites them in, gives them food. He has 2 daughters who are unmarried. And back then, marriage was a really big deal, it was important, it continued the
Sure.
lineage.
Sure.
2 unmarried daughters can't find husbands because all of Sodom is committing sodomy.
Uh-huh.
So they heard of the angels coming, and the angels came in the form of very beautiful men. And so they showed up at the door of this guy who is, it's really killing me that I can't remember his name right now. I want to say it's Isaiah. Um, and he hunkers the door down, locks it, and begs them not to attack the angels. He goes, I have 2 daughters, please take them. They don't have husbands. They're virgins. Like, it
Yeah.
basically gives up his daughters, which
Yeah.
I feel like adds on a little bit to the point of the insult of being a woman. Like, you just gave your daughters up to a bunch of men.
Uh-huh.
But they say they want the angels and that they'll be willing to break the door down to get those male gorgeous angels.
Uh-huh.
And I feel like that, because it was written as like a sin,
Yeah.
and the fact religion was such a huge thing for a long time in
Oh,
society,
sure. Huge. Yeah.
with
Yeah.
like the Pope and with
Right.
the Church of England and whatever other examples that were huge influences, it became very strict about following that.
Right.
Um,
Right. So yeah, we may forgive men their homophobia when you consider historically how male homosexuality has been targeted, and therefore males feel this obligation to sort of purge themselves of all feminine
yeah,
so they will not be suspect.
no,
You see, so that's part of the empathy toward men interpretation, and then there's also this element where uh, men do this with each other within the sort of world of men.
Mhm.
So it's like, you pussy is something some man says
Yeah.
to another man within the world of men. So some woman may overhear it, but it's not really about her.
No.
When we look at it again from an empathy toward men interpretation, then uh, we see that it's sort of an in-house thing of that men are doing to other men, and the insult's really not directed at women. In fact, that same femininity that's so reviled in a man is worshipped in a woman.
Yeah.
He's so yeah. So there's tons more we could say about that quadrant because that's. But the most important thing I want to say about that quadrant is that it's new information.
Yeah.
So if people are really want to be progressive, they're going to embrace that quadrant because within it is all this new information, facts and truths that are normally shut out.
Yeah.
And so if you really want to change things, if you really want to progress things, you need to embrace the facts and truths that are new rather than just stay stuck in the facts and truths that we've already exhausted.
And to that point too, it's also not only new, but it's something that just sort of opens up what people don't really know because a lot of guys hold back their feelings and they tend to have more mental health issues, but they don't talk about that. And so it's this whole new world of, with the mental health stuff coming on, showing men's mental health, it's opening a vulnerability
Mhm.
that they normally
Yeah,
wouldn't open.
right. That's one of the big hurdles we have to jump as a society. We have to look at female power and accountability for that power, and with power comes shadow and abusive power. And with men, we need to look at their vulnerability, and they don't want to look at their own vulnerability. And yeah, so that's what we're up against. It really goes against the grain. We don't want to know about either female power or male victimization.
No.
They just go against the grain. They don't. The facts and truths of those don't feel good. They're sort of incongruent with chivalry, instinct, and eros, and therefore they're kind of repugnant and rejected. But we're going to look at them anyway.
No.
So the next quadrant is empathy toward women,
Mhm.
and
Quite a well-known one.
yeah, right. Oh, can I use my pointer? That's. I'm going to use my pointer. Oh boy, it's that one right there. So yeah, this one goes. So the only resistance we get to this quadrant comes from the politicized men's movement.
Yeah.
And why? Because they're sick of empathy toward women. From a politicized male perspective, there's feminism on the one hand, and on the other hand, there's kind of like nothing because all the empathy goes to women. That's how the men's movement looks at it, and so they're going to be really resistant to this quadrant. But as gender equalists, that's irrelevant.
Well, I would say, and also, some parts of women's movement that are very against the traditional lifestyle. Those women who are very so girl boss that they're like, oh, it's so wrong to be a wife and want to be a stay at home. Those who can't accept that life at all and think it's like a shame and shame women who do that,
Yeah.
I think might be another one. Because
Well, we can
empathy
have
sort of
empathy toward
goes,
those women that
yeah.
want a traditional lifestyle.
Mhm. Just a point to be made. I was thinking like,
Yeah.
because there's a little they're not being empathetic to their own group of gender by doing that. Empathetic of their choices.
That's true. I think that's true.
So,
And yeah. And to the specific issue, Valente makes a point, right?
mhm,
So from an empathy toward women perspective, this this tendency of men to insult the feminine in men, but still it's insulting the feminine is has an impact on women. So I think that the primary issue for women in feminism is a lack of respect.
Yeah.
And this degradation of the feminine within men, there is an element of that in there. And if we're going to, we need to, to be fair,
Hmm.
we need to validate that aspect of that issue.
Yeah.
And then comes did I cover that okay? Empathy toward women. Well, yeah, a little point I made here is that men need to look at that tendency to want to denigrate the feminine they see in other men. It's an issue for men to look at too.
Hmm. And maybe to try and figure out where they got that idea from.
Yeah.
I mean, I realize they're rejecting feminine in themselves, but also like there are most likely other origins as well on top of that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a social cue
Well,
or something that
I
was.
think we get to that in the next quadrant, the male accountability. Yeah. So here again, the men's movement doesn't want to have to look at male accountability because we're saturated with male accountability. The world loves it when men man up and take full responsibility. And so this quadrant is over exaggerated. Uh it tends to just come down solely on men. All fault is male. And so there's resistance to it within the men's movement, legitimately so. But as gender equalists, we're obligated to all four quadrants. And the male accountability here is to admit that indeed there is an attitude in men that the feminine is trivial, that the feminine is weak, that the feminine is unworthy of a
Mhm.
man, right? So there are these attitudes. There's male chauvinist attitudes
Yeah.
are built into it, and men should need to be accountable for that. And the other really important thing is that everybody needs accountability. Everybody needs empathy, obviously, but everybody also needs accountability. And why? Because accountability is like medicine. It tastes bad, but it's good for us. And
It makes you realize what you're doing wrong
yeah, it
and how to
makes
correct it.
you an adult.
Hmm. I think the thing is too is a big aspect of male accountability being there is just I mean you grew up with stories of and Prince Charming saved Cinderella.
Right.
And not that Cinderella wasn't, putting her own accountability. I mean, she was working her butt off, so maybe that's not the greatest example. Rapunzel. That girl was just sleeping with long hair,
That's true.
and then he had to climb all the way up,
That's right.
risking his life,
Yeah.
no harness,
Right.
to go see her, come back down, go up and see her, and in the original tale, he falls, loses his sight, and still finds her.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah.
Yeah, the
Is-
original Grimm version, I think if I remember right, is
Oh, those were brutal, those Grimm's fairy tales, weren't they?
yeah, that um the witch or Mother Gothel, I guess in the Disney version, finds out, cuts her hair, sends her to the woods. Um, Prince comes to visit that night. She uses the hair that she cut off for him
Right.
to climb up, throws him down. He falls on thorns, is blinded, and is going through the forest blind. And Rapunzel's sitting here, just like in the forest, and he happens to find her.
Uh-huh.
And I forgot how, but some way or another, she miraculously cures his eyes, and they go back to the kingdom. It's like this man climbed up her hair multiple
Yeah.
nights, visited her, went blind.
Yeah.
She got kicked out for 2 nights.
Right. Yeah, yeah. Well, of course, right. That's right. So men have been
And
obligated to slay the dragon.
hmm
And that's accountability sans compassion. That's what we tended to do towards men. It's accountability sans compassion, which is ruthless.
hmm
Toward women, it's compassion sans accountability, which is infantilizing. So what gender equalism is doing is trying to get us to look at that. Try to maybe we could slide a little more love toward men,
hmm
empathy toward men, a little more respect toward women,
yeah,
accountability for women. That is respect for women's power, women's weaponry, women's efficacy,
yeah,
women's equal partnership in the human system. equally responsible for outcomes.
Yeah.
Which takes us to the fourth and last quadrant,
Hmm.
female accountability.
One that doesn't get talked about enough.
No, it's true.
And two, that makes us lose the respect. I don't know about other people. I'm a car person, and it's my mechanics are great. I love the people I chose. They've also, my family's been using them for years, so they've learned to respect me. But there are some people I will go to, and they're just like, "Do you know what you're talking about?"
Right.
I don't know. I've been fixing this car for a couple, 5, 6, 7, 8 years. Grew up my whole life with them. I'm pretty sure I know at this point how to clean my carburetor
Right.
more than you. Well, not more
Yeah.
than you, but know how to do it.
Well,
Like,
right. But they're mansplaining and they're, it's a condescension.
yeah, and it's rude, but it's also like, but then even the one that come in, they're just like, it's making a noise, and it's like,
Yeah.
well, when you get that 90% of the time, and then you got the 10% of the time, you get somebody female who knows what they're doing. I guess that's understandable ish. Still rude, but
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Well, yes, we have a real mountain to climb in holding women accountable. Because,
especially life skills, man. There are some life skills women need to learn.
yeah.
Please learn to change your own tires. That is a life skill everybody should have. You're gonna end
Yes.
up with a flat at some point.
Yes. Right.
Sorry, I know there's a lot of car stuff. I'm gonna say.
Well, I think that woman needs to come to understand herself as equal partner in the human system.
Mm-hmm.
I think she needs to be accountable for exerting an equal overall force of influence in the human system
Mm.
and being therefore equally responsible for outcomes, both good and bad. She needs to be willing to share the hot seat
Yeah.
for what is going on in our world. So,
Be
female accountability interpretation, how does it apply to this particular issue? Well, lots of ways. So, from a holding women accountable interpretation, uh, males would say, uh, man hears woman say, man up.
mm-hmm.
Man hears woman say, this is my territory. The
Yeah.
feminine here, you stay out of it. This is mine. I will shame the shit out of you if you put one little toe in my territory. So, in a sense, from a politicized male perspective, you say that in purging himself to the feminine, he's just following orders. Again, see, it's a quadrant. It's not the whole thing. It's a piece of it. It's the accountability toward women interpretation. It's that piece of the total
Puzzle. Yeah. Piece of
pie.
the quadrant.
Yeah. And so looking at it like that, uh, we hold women accountable for the way they've raised the children,
Mm-hmm.
the way that they've raised their sons and daughters to be certain ways. And we we hold women accountable for um, maintaining her world as hers. Throughout history, women were not allowed in the room where their children were being born. They were kept out. They were shut out until the 1970s. They were not allowed in. And these were officiated by um, midwives, and they held all the secrets, and they kept this whole realm of birth strictly female,
Mm-hmm.
kept men out. I'm not condemning, I'm just holding women accountable. Let's take a look at the distinction here, because most people don't really make a distinction between accountability and blame.
Yeah.
So I will say that blame is you did this and that was the result, and you're a bastard and you ruined my life. That's blame. Blame is judgment. Blame is all this judgment that comes down.
Yeah.
Accountability is you did this, that was the result. I invite you to take responsibility.
Yeah.
You're not necessarily even saying that what the person did was wrong, only that there were consequences to their actions, and you invite them to be responsible.
I like to think of it as blame as sort of like the unfounded response because it's more of the reactionary response. It's like,
Uh-huh.
you did this. This is your fault
Yeah.
before you have anything. Accountability is the founded one. It's like, okay, I know you did this. This is the evidence you did this. This is what you need to do to fix it.
Right.
Um, and that's sort of how I look at it. Like, you
And that's
can't do.
treating someone as an adult.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of people do we not hold accountable? Children.
Because
Adults
they're
are,
they're kids.
because they're kids, they're little kids.
They don't know any better.
That's
They're
right.
learning still.
Yeah. But women are not children,
No.
and therefore women need to be held
Held
accountable
accountable. Yeah.
if they're going to be respected. So it's
That's
a really tricky piece because, oh, being held accountable means there's consequences.
mm-hmm.
Not being held accountable means you are let off the hook. Who doesn't want to be let off the hook? See?
I have a terrific example that
Yeah.
sort of ties into this is a TV show example that ties into earlier when you were talking about sharing the hot seat. There's a show called Grey's Anatomy. I don't know if some of y'all have watched it. It was good for good first couple of seasons. After a while, especially after Derek died, sort of, But that's a different issue and that's an opinion. However, there is a specific part within the series. Oh, sorry, cactus. Where, for context, the hospital that this takes place at is, I think, like co-funded or like the Avery Foundation. This foundation owned between this guy named Harper Avery, his wife, who's Catherine Fox. They end up like owning the hospital. I think like 50% or something like that. Well, a scandal comes out after Harper Avery dies at some point in the series that he had been sexually harassing and like assaulting and doing things to nurses and other staff
Uh-huh.
and even doctors because especially if they were trying to win like the award because he would host the Harper Avery Award for medical, I think it's like excellence or something like that.
Uh-huh.
And this whole episode, he dies. Catherine, who's his wife, now his widow because he's dead, gets stuck with the scandal. And she admits in the episode that she helped pay some of the money to silence off some of the people.
Mm-hmm.
And yet by the end of the episode, she manages to scrub herself of the responsibility of her part
Yeah.
in this entire thing.
Right.
And they just rename it the Catherine Fox Award. And it's all clean again and everybody's happy. I'm here like, she helped
I
out
know.
on what happened to all these other women. And by the end of this episode, she was completely scrubbed of all accountability, all part in this.
Yeah.
And her dead husband's legacy is now forever smeared. Not that I'm saying it should or shouldn't be. It's still wrong.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the fact that she helped knowingly.
Yeah.
And by the end of the episode, it's like, oh, well,
Right.
she's fine now. It's like, no, she's not.
No, that's right.
So that's what I thought when you said share the hot seat. That's the first thing that came to my mind was that episode. I'm like, because she left that completely on dead husband.
Right.
It went with him in his grave.
Yep. Well, that's right. So one of the big challenges in gender politics is how do you convince women that being let off the hook is a form of victimization?
Mm-hmm.
How do you get women? So my favorite with this, there was a video of women in Germany, Dr. Hannah something, she spearheaded it. And the women came on and they apologized for their part in male-female issues.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very interesting. The even more interesting than that was the follow-up video where they went into how difficult it was for the women to stand up and be accountable like that, and how some of them got sick before they did it. They felt just like it was terribly difficult, and they had to overcome deep psychological aversion to it. And then though the next day they felt like $1,000,000. They felt so empowered. They felt so. You see, what I make up is they became adults. They became equal partners in the human system, and that was revelatory for them. And unlike the men who in Dear Woman wanted to take full responsibility, say, oh, we're worthless, we males, we're just dirt, we're so sorry, let us grovel on our bellies. But the women didn't do that. They just took responsibility for their half. And as a consequence, they felt amazingly renewed. So there's hope.
Mm-hmm.
There's I'm a part of an organization, I've talked about this before, the New Warriors.
Yeah.
And accountability is one of the big things that we do in our organization. So if a man shows up late for a meeting and he's new to this whole thing, we'll say, so why were you late? And he'll say, well, traffic was bad. And we'll go, wrong. Traffic can be bad. Now, why were you late? Well, I couldn't find a place to park. Wrong. You know about traffic. You know about parking. This is what happened. Now, why were you late? And finally, he'll get to his truth. Well, I stopped off at the cleaners to grab my pants and shirt and I made the completion of an errand more important than making sure that I would be here on time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now we're satisfied. We're not out to shame him. We're not out to blame him. We're out to get him accountable so that he understands that the locus of control is within him and his own decisions, because we know that he'll be empowered to think like that rather than allow circumstances, traffic, and parking to be himself as a leaf blown in the wind to these outside forces. So again, accountability is like medicine. It tastes bad, but it's good for us. So perhaps there's hope that in the decades to come, women will develop a taste for it and demand to be held accountable. We call it the gift of accountability.
Mm-hmm.
We hold the man accountable as a gift to him. And this is what we do. We have an accountability round at every our Tuesday night meetings since January of 2000. We've been getting together, a group of guys, and we have our accountability round. So it really does become an acquired taste.
Mm-hmm.
Holding each other's feet to the fire, as we say. It's good for each of us. It ultimately is a benefit. So
It would definitely be a benefit to society for everyone to be that way.
that's right. I think so. So that's the 4 quadrants.
Yep. And with that, thank you all for watching. Thank you for being here. Remember to hold yourself accountable, preferably on a daily basis, but at least weekly. And we will see you all next week. Like, subscribe,
Yeah.
make sure to follow, and comment.
And comment, yeah.
See you next week.
Bye now.